Welcome to Raw Babes 101. We are your hosts, Miss KK and
TT.
But guess what? Tiffany is going to be in the hot seat tonight. We are interviewing Tiffany to basically get all of the knowing and the know-how of this beautiful soul. We want to know, who is Tiffany? What makes Tiffany Tiffany? Why did you fucking choose to come down to Earth School during this time that just so happens to be at the same time as me? to assist with this massive awakening. I hope you enjoyed that loud outburst with our new big mic.
Big mofo.
Big mofo. So we have Miss Tiffany Garrigus in the hot seat. I am going to ask some series of questions to Miss Tiffany, and she's going to answer them to the best of her ability. She does get one, call a friend. 2, she gets a pass. And 3, it's call a family member. This is from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You know how you could ask the audience? Okay, so she has ask the audience, call a friend, and a pass. But I'm not going to let her fucking pass anything. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love that you're here to have Miss Tay Tay in the giant hot seat. Almost as hot as her hair. Like, hello.
Holla.
Okay, here we go, loop-de-loo. First and foremost, Miss TT, I would like to know, how are you doing? For real. For real, how are you doing?
Doing pretty fucking good, I have to say. Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I've been doing a lot of reflecting for instance, I slipped on the ice the other day. And now I have this shoulder thing.
I thought you literally meant that you slept on the ice. I was like, oh, is this new? Is this a new beauty trick for youth? Okay, slipped on the ice.
I slipped on the ice so that now, like, when these things happen, I tend to, like, do a lot of reflection to see if there is anything energetically that's sitting in that area. So also, I got this, like, pain in my forearm. So that's been, like, kind of, like, I've been working through some whatever things I need to work through for that, like, what that means.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
What has been going on in your life recently that you expected? And then also, what has been going on in your life that you didn't expect? So what has been going on in your life recently that you have expected?
I guess just what did I expect?
Yeah, what's been going on in your life recently that you've expected to be going on in your life?
Well, I knew my son was coming home from hockey.
Okay.
So he's been away since September. That's amazing. It's beautiful to have him in our house again, living amongst the La Vida Loca. Yeah, he's just such a beautiful soul. So
I agree.
Yeah. What I have not expected... you know what? I'm not sure at this point. I think if I was just to change that question around just slightly, I guess what I didn't expect is the feedback from the work that you and I are doing. And I have this this really silly thing where I just don't give myself enough credit. And then when I hear it, a result of the work that we're doing, it's just like, okay, yes, I'm on the right track. So sometimes I don't expect that level of feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And
it's a nice surprise.
And it feels good. It feels good to know that what I've expected is happening. And so knowing that we're on the right track of like everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that deep enough?
Yeah. Also with what came what came to my mind though, truthfully, is like seeing your transformation from fitness coach to spiritual fitness coach is just it's a game changer.
It has been, hasn't it? Honing in on my own practice, like before I was just kind of doing just the fitness thing. And I always felt like that was a really good foundation to start people on building a little bit of clarity on what their next step is. Because I know for me, when I started focusing on nutrition like so many years ago, I didn't realize how long I was sitting with depression and anxiety. It was just normal for me.
Yeah.
So it was almost like a high. Like I got like high from when I started eating clean. And then I was always kind of searching for that high again. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But actually I didn't realize that was just the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. So I used that experience for, for the work that I was doing. But honestly, what was happening, and I was just attracting people who were not fully committed. Really in the beginnings, like really just starting to plant the seed.
Yeah.
Because it's not like an instant gratification. It's all these years of practice, from then to now. That's a lot of work that's been done since then. So expecting someone to take in everything from here now, I need, it's easier to deal with, but like coach someone who's already done a little bit of the foundation.
Yeah.
At the level that I want to teach.
And I think me looking back on your journey as an outsider looking in, the evolution of external work versus internal work. And I see the balance of the fact that you're teaching people not only can you have a great external, but you ain't really shit if you don't have the internal balanced. And I think that's really cool. What I've noticed, especially with your classes, is you've brought in that the entire piece that was missing to so many others. So it's really great for me to observe and watch you really hone in on breathing and the affirmations that people are saying now when they're doing workouts with you, and even me in your class. It's like, you can do this. Your body can handle this. It's just bringing in that whole spiritual practice is very admirable.
It's interesting because I feel like, we've known each other for so long. And I remember vividly, one time, and I can speak for myself, and this is why I resonate, because I did the same thing, that you'd lost a lot of weight.
Okay.
And you were focused on the external. And it's same thing with me. I did the exact same thing. I was so focused on my external. It was just never enough.
No.
And physically, yeah, we looked banging, but mentally, we're a fucking mess.
Just
Rocked. And so there was a lot of issues that we were still dealing with. But now that we have this level of balance, we have this new youthful look to us. Like, it's like aging isn't really a thing, and loving our bodies where we're at. And I'm not saying we're perfect by any means, but the level of happiness compared to now from before is so significant. There's so much difference there. So
it's super cool to say, and I love that you brought that up, because me, then you guys would look at a picture, my body was rocking.
It's still rocking.
Thanks for saying
Just
that.
saying.
I feel that it is.
Yeah.
I just am saying, you would look at that photo and be like, wow, that's way more chiseled and all this. But it's like the difference of confidence, that's so not confident.
No.
And that's why our shells and the external doesn't mean shit. And that's why I always say,
that's right.
If our insides, that's what I'm even working on still to this day.
Yeah, me too.
Getting the insides to be like, we're good. Because it doesn't matter what we gain or attract externally, it will eventually fade away if our insides. I said this, it's like, you can be an 80-year-old woman and maybe we're so beautiful, and then you say you've lost that or your youthfulness. If you didn't have that in your 20s or 30s or 40s, you're going to be rocked in your 80s. What are you going to think you have? You're going to think that you have nothing. So it's so important.
We only get wiser. The cool thing is I had to do some major reflection, because right now I have not been this heavy since pregnancy. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. It was even with me too, but
right?
Yes.
So, with that, I was I noticed the shit I was saying is fuck, you fucking fucking lose the weight, man. Like, get over yourself. Just fucking figure your shit out.
Yeah.
Like, blah, 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 blah. But then I'm not giving myself enough credit. I know that if we sit with like excessive weight, which I don't feel like I am sitting with excessive weight, to each judgment of their own, like whatever you think, it doesn't matter if it's not positive.
It's all good.
Right? But, oh yeah, so losing the weight, I had to do some major reflection and going internal and actually saying those affirmations that I am good, I am loved, I'm perfect where I am. You know, just things like that. And I had to do that over and over and over again. And I fucking put on a bathing suit recently and I couldn't believe the mind shift.
Good.
The feeling that it came over, because I was like, fuck, I look badass in this thing.
Exactly.
Like, and usually a bathing suit's really humbling. It's a really humbling time. You're like, ooh, I don't.
You're just like,
yeah.
yikes.
Oh yeah.
It's like, don't turn around.
No.
Turn around.
But I feel like there's a major balance between mental and physical, because it almost doesn't matter what size you're at. If you're sitting there and feeling the confidence and rocking that shit, anybody can look hot.
I agree.
Right?
You go to the beach and there's women, like here I'm talking like back then, and insecure to be like, you know, a certain piece of my body roll happened, and then there's women that are like larger and beautiful and curvier.
But they're walking around and they're owning it.
And they are so goddess-like. And I'm like, wow. Like, that is money. That is money. You cannot put a dollar amount on confidence. You cannot buy confidence. You have to have it.
One more thing I want to add to this is that our bodies actually sit at a center point weight. So we always kind of fluctuate between like 10, say 15 pounds before or after. Plus or minus. And when we have this balance, and this is what I've known this for a really long time, you'll sit within that balance. Now my center point at the level I was vibrating at, like in my consciousness, it was really low. So my center point was only within like 5 or 10 pounds. Now it's 25. So I'm not even, that's an old center point. I'm not even the same fucking person anymore. No. So I'm working on a new structure right now.
Yes,
and
I love that.
You know, I'm doing all the things. I'm drinking the water. I'm eating 3 square meals a day, taking my supplements, and my supplements is the juicing mostly. I mean, there are certain supplements that I do like to take, like my B complex and my D's and my CoQ10, and now it's gonna be SAM E and all the things.
SAM E.
Yeah. So I feel like we're a little bit hard on ourselves, and 100%. I think if we just do things for more of our mental health, our physical health will just come.
And it's Louise Hay. You know, if you affirm, I am healthy, and you could, whatever wordage, like petite, or I'm healthy and fit, you fucking say that every day, every time you look at your mirror, it falls off.
Yeah.
Like, I remember during a crazy time in my life, I was reading that book, like, religiously. That is, like, the Bible, I'm telling you.
Yeah, everybody needs it.
Everybody needs it.
Yeah.
Say it. I am healthy and petite, or thin and petite, or fit and muscular, or I have whatever you want. Just say it and affirm it, and your body believes it. So I knew this would happen because, of course, whenever we talk, it goes really deep. We were wanting to stay on the intro questions, but so I was just going to ask you, what has been on your mind recently that you hope to share with listeners?
Oh, that's a big question, because I'm doing a lot of learning right now. I'm really expanding my knowledge. I am basically learning hypnosis and breath work. Okay. So I'm taking a breath work course right now, and just the shit I'm learning, it's so natural and innate in us. We've like
relearning.
It's like, it's so simple and it's free. It's free shit. So I'm so beyond excited to get further enough in my courses that I'm just going to start sharing like right away. Like we're already sharing, but we're sharing stuff outside of the courses that I'm taking. And it's already so powerful. So this is just fucking amplifies it like by 1,000%.
Yeah.
Did that
Amazing.
answer?
Yeah.
Did that answer? Okay.
What did you have for breakfast today?
Ooh. I had a smoothie that my family made. So what we've been doing is been putting together a little bit of spinach, a little bit of blueberries, banana, avocado, a few other little things, and just like these little snack baggies, and we just throw them in the freezer. And we've been having those every morning, and they've been
That's
the bomb diggity. So I had a big cup of that, and then I actually made myself a heavy metal detox this morning.
Perfect.
So I did have that, and then we cooked some steak, organic steak last night. So I had a couple big slivers of that also.
Some big daddy meat.
Big daddy.
What is your favorite drink?
Oh. It's actually, if I was to think something that really quenches my thirst, it is just soda water with lemon or lime.
Okay. What is your favorite meal?
Can I have two?
Yeah, it's your show.
I am obsessed with burgers and hot dogs.
Okay.
It's really hard. It's hard. I really hold back. I really hold back.
I would have never guessed.
If I go downtown Vancouver and there is a fucking hot dog stand, I'm right there. Like,
You're at the Japa Dog.
Fucking love it.
Jalapenos and cheese?
Everything. Oh, I kind of
Onions?
hold back on the cheese, but it's like sauerkraut,
Okay.
onions, like all the stinky breath stuff.
Yeah, sauerkraut is really great for cholesterol, FYI.
It is, and it's good for your gut health.
Who's your favorite artist? I know it.
You do?
Maybe.
Is it like painting artist or
No,
singing?
music.
Music. Everything's kind of fluctuated. What do you think?
Well, you know who I think.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay, what is
You
it?
know what I think. I'm going to send it to you.
Sarah McLachlan?
No! Tash.
Oh, Tash Sultana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She is amazing.
But no, who is yours?
I feel like if I was to think of like a current one, she's one that I play quite often. She just gets me in the zone. And what I really like about her is that she just really honed in on something that she's particularly good at. And when we do that, and she's just a perfect example, is that's a fingerprint. Nobody else fucking does it like that.
It's
she
hers.
practiced and practiced and practiced. And yeah, I just fucking love her
Any
work.
other artist?
You know what's really sad on the spot? I have a really hard time with names.
Okay.
But I kind of just go to like Apple Music or Spotify.
Her thing is on Sirius is the TikTok radio.
Yeah. Cause like sometimes I just want to expand my my repertoire. Yeah, and I have been listening to country lately. That is not even, I know, this is not even, but I go on YouTube and put that on in my living room while I cook.
Interesting.
And it's like, I can't even believe,
all on my room.
but these guys are like in their early 20s. They're not even big yet. They just have this fucking, they just put everything on YouTube and they're just fucking unbelievable. So they're not your typical country. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Maybe they've just mixed it up a little bit. Okay. Where are you from? I want to know your original story.
Boom.
Boom! Sorry. Sorry, I know that's going to be loud on your speaker. Tiffany's always like, Kristen, you're so quiet. I was born this way, loud.
So I go back as far as when I was born. I was born in Beverly Hills, obviously, in LA. And yeah, some people are like, oh, that makes sense. Not your average Maple Ridgean. Yeah, but we moved to Canada when I was quite young. I got a lot of family in Florida. Like on my dad's side, everybody's in the States. So Florida and California. And then my mom's family's all in Canada. So we're like between BC and Alberta. And
your mom's side.
My mom's side.
So go back to you being born. You're born in Beverly Hills. Where are you?
I can't remember exactly where we live, but it wasn't that far.
Are you
I
in an
mean,
apartment? Are you in a
you know
house?
what? I
Are
think
you in
we
a
may had
shack?
started in an apartment, but I have vivid memories of my now past grandma, my nana. She had a home, like one of those like white homes with like the metal picket fence, and she had metal bars on each
Oh,
window.
wow.
I mean, we weren't in like Compton or anything, but
City of Compton.
we were actually right by the ocean. So I have memories of walking to the ocean with my dad. Memories of my sister being, I have an older sister, she's 12 years older than me. So I have memories of her, and then my cousin, they were just kind of babysitting me, and I was playing with all their clothes in the closet.
So
And,
you're literally there in Beverly Hills until what point? What age?
3.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then you drastically.
Yeah. So my parents both lived in addiction.
Okay.
My mother felt like it was best that she came back to Canada. They had a major falling out. Um, I'm going to say she took me from my dad because my dad always wanted me in his life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the level of addiction that they were both sitting at and what they were dealing with, it was just so much better at that time.
Healthy.
Just it was what it was.
Right.
I feel like it's really unfortunate when I see families that have split and they have no choice but to see the toxicity of the other parent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it wouldn't have been a good idea if I had to go see my dad. He was living in his addiction.
Yeah.
So it was
Makes
just better
sense.
off. But I did end up reuniting with him in my when I was 20 years old. And it was the most bizarre thing because it just didn't feel like we skipped a beat. Like,
Of course.
he's my spirit animal. Like, we are in so synchronicity within our minds and the way we think. We know now we're telepathic with each other. Like, it's
Yeah.
fucked.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like one of the closest people.
Is
to
your
my life.
oldest sister have the same dad?
No,
Okay.
no, we have different dads.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an interesting fellow. They're from Australia.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Like,
It's a very interesting story. I don't know if I'm going to get too much into it and give it too much power, but
Okay.
yeah, we have different fathers.
and then obviously, so your mom had her, and
Yeah.
then your mom, what got her into California from Australia?
My sister's dad. So they were very young. They were together at 16. Moved at 18.
Where did they meet?
Where did they meet?
Were they in California?
Nope, they
Oh.
were in Alberta.
Oh, so your mom was in Canada.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And
In
then
Alberta. Had baby.
they moved. Well, not baby yet. It was a little bit down the road. They moved into the States. He had a car auto shop. He ended up just kind of connecting with the wrong people.
Okay.
Seemed right at the time.
In Australia?
In the States.
In the
In
States.
LA.
In LA. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what brought your mom to LA.
Yes.
That's where I was getting at.
Yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to know how she got there.
Yeah, and then they, living in the 70s, a lot of drugs. And a lot of drugs sold and did. And they owned yachts and race cars and lived
a
that
fast
fast
life.
life. Yeah,
Okay.
they did. But,
It only lasts for so
it
long.
only lasts for so long.
The fucking plug gets pulled.
That's right.
Any shaky ground.
Yep. There's no foundation there. It's more complicated than being simple. You're just kind of like living that fast life, depending on the material things you think that's what makes you like that person, that powerful person.
It's through the external.
It's such bullshit, right?
just
Like,
a
as we
facade.
know,
Yeah.
it's just stuff.
Okay, so then now we're back in Beverly Hills. Now your mom's chosen to take a different path, get you guys onto a different kind of pathway
to peace.
So you come back to now where? Where do you move to?
I think we moved to Surrey.
Okay.
We kind of hopped back around from Vancouver to Kelowna. We kind of just followed my mom's father, so my grandfather.
Okay.
He was such a light himself, even though my mother grew up with addiction because her father and grandmother and mother came from World War II. And so they met on base. You know, he is just in love with children, but there was just so much alcohol involved and so much volatile behavior that the children had witnessed. And in those days, it was to be seen, not to be heard.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of trauma for them. And yeah, so either way, over the course of years, my grandfather's always expressed his love for his family, even though he was living in his addiction. So they had a really tight bond. I think it was a good financial support and physical support, just having him in her life and us being connected to him. They were older, and over time, you know, we were able to create a bond even as children, because obviously they expire over time. And so we have a lot of standing memories that way.
With your grandfather?
Yeah. So I think
Did he pass with being addicted still?
No, you know what? But I think his addiction probably had everything to do with his passing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, over time. But
did he ever get clean?
I don't think so, but I don't think he ever, like, even when I was very young, they didn't drink like that any longer. Like, my grandma was stuck to a chair.
Yeah.
So she went into a home first, and then eventually he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're back in Surrey-ish, bouncing around.
Yeah.
And do you have any recollection of your dad, like, missing him or wondering or
Oh, God,
asking?
yeah. Yeah, I remember when we moved to Kelowna, we were in this, like, creepy little duplex. And I only say that's creepy because there's two creepy men that lived next door. My mom was, like, very protective.
Of you
and
guys.
as soon as she saw those men, she's like, fucking out of here.
Yeah, that's good.
I was not allowed to talk to them. I was a very protected child, even though my mom was extremely, like, overprotected. I have to be pretty grateful that I never really had any like physical sexual abuse. Like I'm free from that, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have an experience with another child at such a young age, but it was the age that we were at, and we were just like more like what's that? Like, just more curious.
Yes. I'm glad you're actually bringing that up.
Yeah.
Because it's really important for people to understand that it happens, and it's happened way more than people think. And
well, it's 1 in 3 children that get sexually abused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's a high number.
And it's
a high number.
You know, it's such a tragedy, and it's so catastrophic, and it becomes such a secret type of feel within, and then there's a lot of shame and guilt around that. And then even, I love how you were bringing up the fact of even experimenting with a friend or being this little kid, and you hear this all the time, that this happens, where these kids, you know, you walk in the room or they've experimented or something, and then there's so much shame around that, because then they feel like something's wrong or they did something wrong, and then they basically live their whole lives as feeling like, so like there's
suppressed
something wrong
feelings
with them.
Yeah.
And then it's such a big thing.
I have witnessed parents catching their children in action and really shaming them for it. I have witnessed that, and having children and experiencing that myself. And I remember vividly, it was, I never would do that. It was just very much like more of a conversation of curiosity.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's a very traumatic thing when you get shamed for something that you were just curious about.
That's right.
It is, like, especially something like that, because as you grow, you realize how private something like that really is, and then the shame just builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's like depression, anxiety, addiction, all these things start surfacing.
Yep, because you think that something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll tell you something. Attraction or turned on or anything like that, there's nothing to be ashamed about in any way, shape, or form. It's been years and years and years passed down from generation to generation of shame, and this is where it's got to stop, and just drawing the line and being like an open, safe space for our children as well as ourselves to talk about this sort of stuff and explore and be open and not shame.
Yeah, I don't think your kids are ever too young to talk about this sacred space and this temple that we have.
That's right.
I think because the children are children, they're super curious.
Yes.
And they'll poke and prod at each other,
That's right.
So,
Yes.
and there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes that just kind of bellows into other things and it just kind of expands and it develops into things that are just totally inappropriate.
Yes,
and that's where
it has to be talked about.
We got to talk about it
always in a very loving, kind manner.
Absolutely,
100%. I love that. That was a good conversation, which we'll have to dive way deeper on another.
Yeah, we will talk about that. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
So now we were talking about your dad and how about like missing him and that you remembered that kind of part.
Yeah, okay, so when we moved to this house, I specifically remember missing my dad because we had such a bond. We were really, really close.
Yes.
I think they tried really hard for me or something, but
of course.
I remember in my kitchen I was making peanut butter jelly sandwiches just like my dad would. And I took my shirt off just like my dad would because he always walked around with no shirt on. And I remember asking about him, like,
where's my dad?
Yeah, my dad doesn't wear a shirt. I don't wear a shirt. Where's my dad?
Aww.
Yeah. And I don't remember the response I got from my mother, but probably not the most positive one.
Did you ever grow up just trying to think about like even to call him, or like did you just close that part off? Or?
Well, what happened was when my nana was alive, and after this had happened, so we moved to Kelowna and my younger sisters were born. This is fucking crazy.
I want to know this part. I was like, wait a minute, there's a few little pieces missing.
Yeah,
here. Okay.
This is really interesting. So my nana was also like, I had an older cousin and she was obsessed with the two of us. She just loved her children and therefore her children's children. And so my grandmother saw the pain that my father was in. And so she drove up to Canada with my cousin. And she always had money. Like she always drove.
This is your nana,
Yeah,
right?
my nana.
Okay.
She always drove nice vehicles. She always was put together, hair done, all the things. And she came to Canada to visit because she hadn't seen us. And she hadn't met my younger sisters yet. And she brought a TV. She brought Barbie dolls, movies, like VHSs, all these like little goody things.
But there's a missing piece here.
Yeah.
Where'd your sisters come from?
Well...
Right?
There was, gosh, here we go. Okay.
This is the raw babes tell-all of TT.
From what I understand, after we moved away, my dad's sister had passed. My dad and his sister were much like me and my dad. There was a bond you couldn't deny between a brother and a sister. And when she died, it was catastrophic. She was the light. She was the party. She was very, very loved, but she also lived in addiction. And that is what killed her.
Wow.
She died on a boat, and because of the alcohol consumption, loss of judgment, and there was an accident. So my mom flew from Canada to my dad, obviously without me because she doesn't want anybody to steal me. And she has a small little reunion, comes back, she's pregnant with twins.
So Mama and Papa had a little reunite.
That's the story. That's the story because they've never met my dad, and
okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
So going back to the Kelowna, Grandma comes to visit.
Seeing your dad's two kids that he hasn't met.
That's right. And she had an agenda. And the agenda was she was going to kidnap me. And how do I know this? Because she fucking told me. Nana.
When did she tell you?
I think we're just on the way to the store. We're just spending some time together. We're doing some shopping.
When?
When I was 4. I guess it was 4.5, 5.
But when did she tell you she was going to steal you?
Yeah, when we were driving, we were shopping.
Okay.
And she just said, don't worry about it. I'm going to take you with me. don't tell your mom. I was like, what? Fuck that. I barely know this woman. I can barely remember her.
TT.
Yeah, and she'd planned a kidnapping. But she just had such a big mouth. She told me, so I went straight home and I told my mom. And my mom fucking lost it. And there was a huge fight. Fucking things got thrown out on the street. My cousin was like, she's about 10 years older than me. She was devastated. She didn't know what was going on. She had no idea. All of a sudden, they pick up their shit and they leave, and I never seen them again. And so my mom, she created that space so I didn't ever get to see my family on that side. But when it came time to me being old enough, her and I always just really butt heads, and I never really resonated a lot with how I was raised, and my mom and I did not have a very good connection. So I would often ask about my dad, and she would put him down. She was very angry, and she never talked very positive about him. And she told me, she's like, you start talking to him, you're gonna have to go see him, and you may not come back, so you do whatever you want.
Right.
And it was such a guilt trip, right? And I was like, okay, I guess I won't talk to him.
Okay.
Because I don't even know what I want. I'm like 14, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, when I got to my 20s, I just had this deep, deep calling to get a hold of him. And the cool thing is, when I got a hold of him, he was a year sober. So
dope. The alignment.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
It does. You weren't meant to know him with his sickness.
No, I wasn't.
No.
And yeah, we've been tight ever since, which is beautiful because I don't have a relationship with my mother. So yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, going back from your childhood into like your teens, what does that look like? Can you paint everybody a picture of kind of like what you were and went through? And
well, I feel like, no, I don't mind. This is stuff I really had to work through, especially when we did Landmark all those years ago. This stuff came to the surface. Like, I had no choice but to deal with it.
yeah.
I always felt like my mom didn't like me, and she always liked my sisters more. My sisters were like the baby. Usually when you have your last child, it's your last child, there's just a different level of connection that's had. So I wasn't sure if it was resentment that she was sitting with, or I didn't know what it was. I just felt like a black sheep all the time. And it was difficult because I didn't have another parent to rely on. So school was always very challenging. We moved a lot, because my mom was a single mother. She didn't have the funds or anything to
Support.
No, she didn't. So we moved a lot. We were always running from rent.
Okay.
I went to 9 elementary schools.
Wow, TT.
So I had to really learn how to adapt. And quite often, as a child, you don't make friends as fast.
No.
Kids are a little bit different. They're just kind of like, I like you, I don't like you.
Yeah. And it's clicky. They're used to their own
Children
group,
are very clicky.
Yeah.
I went with all those elementary schools. Yeah, children can be very clicky, but there are some little lights that just accept the new kid, and I think maybe that's why. So I ended up staying in the same high school, and I noticed good old Westview, and I'd noticed that I was always befriending the misfits.
There's the word.
Yeah. I'd always befriend people that just kind of were falling to the wayside because my heart would really go to them. Because I knew what that loneliness felt like, that rejection. I understood what that felt like. So I resonated a lot with it. But there was always reasons why why these people were misfits. Yeah. And unfortunately, I had to stand up to a lot of my friends because people always wanted to beat them up. So my mom taught me how to fight at a really young age.
How did that happen? How did that come about?
I think I described the situation that I was in, and I didn't know how to handle it. And my mom came from a background of anger, and she used to fight a lot.
Okay.
And it was more just like making up for a lack of something, right?
Okay.
So her advice to me was, someone fucks around, you call them out, and I guarantee you they will not meet you. And I'm like, I'm going to try that because, like, there's some shit that's going on at school, and I never felt good sitting there watching my friends getting picked on. Mm-hmm. So I challenged that, and it worked. And all of a sudden, that was just kind of my MO. Like, I was just like, I challenged anybody who fucked around, like who messed with my friends. Okay. Nobody would mess with me. No one did, but it was also very scary going into high school because I didn't have any siblings. I didn't know anybody. Mm-hmm. And I was so scared someone was going to, pick on me or hurt me or whatever, because I was already feeling so vulnerable. So it's like a shark smelling blood, a lion smelling blood.
Yeah.
Right?
When you were younger, how did that start? Like with learning how to like be angry at others or like to stand up for yourself through anger. What did you do?
I have no idea. Like, I remember when we first time moved to Kelowna, I went to this elementary school and I was probably in grade 2, maybe grade 3. I think I was in a split class, and I witnessed this little boy bullying a kid younger than him. And I remember sitting there and going, what the fuck is wrong with you? The kid can't obviously defend himself. Why are you picking on him? You know that you were that young one time. Were you able to defend yourself? Why would you pick on someone else? And I'll never forget that feeling that it riddled through my body, and I just wanted to protect. And so it really started at a young age, like really young. So I don't know. It's just kind of part of my makeup. Like, I don't.
And then as you were like getting older, would there be situations of anger with your mom? Like, would you guys?
Oh yeah.
Ever be angry at people
I hated
together?
her.
Oh, like with each other. But what about like as a together? Like, would she encourage you to?
Yeah, she encouraged me to fight.
At what age?
Probably starting in high school, just because the altercations I was finding myself in.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was already kind of grown. I always had like an athletic, body type. So I probably would have done really well in like MMA or something like that.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the funds. We didn't have the money. So it was just all street fighting.
So Tiffany was your tough bitch that if you had a problem, Tiffany would solve it.
Yeah. And so, I just never had a problem with anybody. Anybody that was like a bully or a tough bitch or whatever, just never wanted to get on my bad side. They all befriended me over time.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I took 9. It's like, and I'll take Tiffany on my team. Wow.
Yeah. I just didn't, I learned to not be afraid of confrontation.
Yeah.
But I've learned how to alter that confrontation into something way more diplomatic. Mm-hmm. Instead of just ending something with fists and anger.
Yeah.
And violence, like there's just.
It stems from hurt, which we know now.
Oh,
man,
for sure.
That's a lot of pain.
A lot of pain.
Down.
And it was after high school. I'm like, I can't fight anymore. Like, I'm now merging into being an adult. I'm going to get a lot of fucking trouble. I'm going to go to jail.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was just like, it wasn't, there was nothing healthy about it. But if I would have loved to, experience the ring and just fighting for purpose rather than for survival.
Yeah.
A sense of survival.
And protection. And
protection,
a way to,
yeah,
to stand up for yourself where you probably couldn't stand up for yourself in other ways. So it's like.
Yeah. So learning over the years, really developing my mind. But that didn't come till later. Yeah. That's really interesting.
So I would like to go in, because obviously you sharing your experiences and all that you've been through is only going to help others. So anybody that's watching and listening to Tiffany's story. I love this.
That's crazy.
It's so cool.
4-3.
Was it 4-3?
Yeah.
Of course it was. I'd like to talk on maybe a little bit more of your struggles through high school and, misfit and, maybe leaning towards different substances and things like that. So, it's so important to talk about it. It's like, especially when your home life wasn't
stable.
a stable and open place. It's like kind of where you went and steered to for support or love.
Yeah, I guess always looking for that level of acceptance ran really fucking deep. And, that was an experimental age, grade 8. I really didn't get into too much until grade 9.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of a late bloomer than everybody. I was more of an observer. And yeah, I was kind of afraid because my mom, by that point, like, I think it was when I was in grade 3 or 4, she went sober.
When you were in grade
3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, she went completely sober, and she's still sober to this day.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's huge.
Huge.
And your dad is still too.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought.
You were going back to grade 8, grade 9, experimental.
What I was up to.
Accepted.
Yeah. So because she had such a tight leash on me, anytime I did get out, I would just be like, fucking let's do this. Like, let's drink what I can, smoke what I can, do what I can before that bitch gotta pick me up.
Okay.
That's how it was.
Rebel.
Total rebellious.
So
my mom would show up at parties looking for me, losing her shit. Everybody's hammered, throwing themselves all over the place, and she'd go in there, grab me, fucking, let's go home. I'm like, ugh.
Okay, and this happened, didn't matter what age?
Well, when I started. So probably in the beginning of high school. Because when it came to grade 11, 12, there was just, I was so rebellious. Her and I just did not see eye to eye. And I have so much compassion to her at that time because dealing with a teenager at that level of mischievousness and rebel is so fucking stressful. Mm-hmm. When I did my work, I didn't give a fuck. So I didn't feel respected. Yeah. And I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel safe or secure. So I had zero boundaries. Zero. And I was very stay the fuck away from me. And I tried so hard to get, I ran away.
Okay.
I moved away when I was really young. I moved when I was 15. But before that, she shipped me out to the States to live with my older sister.
Okay. Which I missed that part. I didn't know this.
Yeah, she was pregnant with her 4th. So my older sister has 7 children. Okay. So she was more really committed to her church. They just didn't believe in contraceptives just at that time. So she was pregnant with her 4th, and I was going to church a lot. And
so how old are you at this point?
Oh God, I had to have been about 14 or 15.
So were you already starting to experiment and just do drugs?
Already had.
Didn't give a shit?
Oh yeah, already had. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I moved to Spokane, that was just a good restart. Now, the beautiful thing is because I was having such a hard time before I moved, I wanted to die.
Okay.
I thought about dying multiple times. It was just, that space was so painful. And so I talked about suicide. I planned it out sometimes, and I just could never do it, right? But when it came to that dire time where I was just enough's enough, I don't want to fucking be here anymore, I prayed to God. And I always grew up doing a prayer every night before bed.
Okay.
My mom would take us to church every so often, but I really didn't put any substance to it. I just always was conditioned that there was a God. And when you needed help, you'd ask for it.
Okay.
And I did, and I asked for help, and that's when I got shipped off.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
But I want to go back. So when you were feeling so low and you wanted to die, what was going on that you didn't want to be here anymore?
Honestly, Kristen, I had no one to talk to. I couldn't identify really what was going on. Nobody was really talking about stuff like that at that time.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like it was that level of trying to understand what to do with people in that state. The same way we're trying to understand what to do with people with the devices. And teaching our kids what to really do with them. Because this is all new to us. In those days, nobody really talked about learning different ways. Mm-hmm. And mental illness. Nobody talked about mental illness. Mm-hmm. So it's you're just a problem child.
That's right.
Or here's some fucking Ritalin. Here's some medication.
Did you go on any medication?
No, I never did.
And
Never
so
did.
your out would have been more escaping and like drugs and drinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
no boundaries.
And how about at school? Were you considered a problem at school to the teachers and people?
Not really, because I actually held a lot of compassion for the teachers that would reason with me and that would actually like talk to me like a human being. There was teachers.
Did you have some of those at Westview?
Absolutely, yeah. I could give the biggest credit to 3 of my teachers.
Let's do it.
One is passed now. So Mr. Longridge, he was our principal.
Amazing.
He was just like, he wouldn't even let me deal with any other teacher. He's like, I was his student. So I would often get called to the office just to sit with him. And he had so much compassion for what I was dealing with. He had a way better understanding than anybody.
Wow.
Mr. Reed was the other one. He's amazing. Mr. Reed was like the light. These are all men. These are men. The women.
What do you think you needed?
Yeah. But the women were they weren't that level of kind the way the men were. It was really interesting. So Mr. Reed was just a fucking light. Like, I can't say enough about that man.
Is Mr. Reed, did you ride his bike? No, Bevan's. Thinking of a different one. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I know Mr. Reed was, he ended up leaving and I believe his wife passed and he just kind of went on a path of healing. And I believe he's remarried now. But,
okay. So Mr. Reed was special.
Mr. Reed was special. Mr. Sanderson.
Oh. Man, that man is next level. Mr. Sanderson, I love you to this day. Wow.
Yeah, he was amazing too.
He's next level.
And these were like influential times. And when you feel like you're a teenager and you can relate to an adult, it just gave me a whole new appreciation.
Yeah.
So when I would get in trouble, I held no grudges. I'm like, just give me my punishment. I'll deal with the punishment. Thank you. And that was it. And I always had a good relationship with the teachers that met me there. There were teachers that didn't.
Yeah.
So there was always conflict there.
Were you like rowdy with those types of teachers?
No.
Were you respectful?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I grew up with a mother to be seen, not heard.
Right.
Like, I was just like, always like, yes, please. No, thank you.
Super controlled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so now you're shipped off. Now you're at your sister's. She's having her 4th baby.
Yeah.
You're in Spokane.
Yeah.
You're now going to church.
Yeah.
And what's happening?
Learning a lot about Christianity. Reading the Bible. Because I'm so rebellious. I had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot of questions. And these are questions they did not want to answer for me.
Okay.
So I threw in the towel. I'm like, I don't need to learn anymore. This just doesn't resonate with me. I loved the community feeling.
Okay.
I loved acting out of the heart space and like doing good deeds and, all things like that. That was like right up my alley. But the level of the hierarchy and the control, I just did not resonate with that at all. So I probably lasted about 3 months.
In Spokane?
Yeah, and then I came back home. But I came back home a different person.
When you were there, were you drinking or like doing like that?
No.
So you're just sober and going to community.
Yeah.
Chilling with your sister. Did you feel seen and heard with your sister?
No.
Okay. No, this is good truth.
No. I mean, she has done the same work as I have done. She's definitely a couple of years ahead of me, but we're totally different people now. Like, she didn't know how to deal with me. She dealt with me out of anger in the way that she was raised with our mother. She knew what the fuck to do. She just knew how to be hard and on it. And her children literally were like, bop, 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 bop. Her kids did not talk back, like, at all.
Right.
Yeah, and if you did, there was consequences.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 months now, what happens? What happens to Miss Tiff?
Go back home.
Go back to Mama?
Yeah.
No?
Well, I did. I didn't really have anywhere else to live. Went back home, new person, kind of looked at things differently.
Back to Westview?
Yeah, back to Westview. So Dave lived down the road from me. And for a long time, we would just see each other because I was never allowed to leave my house, and he'd always just pop by and we'd have cigarettes.
Okay, so you
We always just smoke. And yeah, so when I came back home, I reunited with Dave, like our friendship. That's a whole nother story, but he introduced me to his friend, and I started dating his friend, and his friend was just a few years older.
Okay.
And so he was my scapegoat.
The friend.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So my new boyfriend.
Okay.
He was my new boyfriend. Because going back to my home, living with my mom, just the same shit.
Just toxic.
Toxic. Just the same shit. Like, we just constantly butt heads.
So you guys just couldn't get along.
Couldn't get along. So I moved out 16. I was out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're with this guy.
Yeah. Now I was
And what are you doing with this guy?
Meth. Doing a lot of meth. Didn't know what it was. I had no idea. I was just used to like mushrooms, maybe a little acid, some drinking,
smoking weed, cigarettes.
Yep, that's it. And then all of a sudden, this boom, tinfoil, cook that shit up. Let's go.
How do you feel? What does it feel like?
Speed. It's fucking speed.
Shit.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like? If you're fast or you're like
fast,
you want to like clean or like talk.
Yeah, and I was a very creative person. So
you are a creative person.
I would draw, and I would get so caught in my drawings and creating. The unfortunate part when you're in speed, you start projects and you just don't finish them. That's just
That's what
how
happens.
it works. And the feeling, the high, the initial high, it's like much like heroin. You get that initial high.
I have never tried heroin.
Yeah, well, if you hear about the way what it's like. You know,
have you tried heroin?
No, I never did. Thank God.
You're like, no.
No.
But still.
But this was the era where I really started getting into like the hard chemical drugs.
Okay.
So I do cocaine, fucking.
Yeah, E started to be a big thing.
Big thing.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's like, did you get into like the rave scene or?
A little bit.
Dance?
More like at like 7 a.m. we would go.
You'd go to the rave at 7.
Yeah.
That's when it would start.
No, that's when I would start, and everybody's been raving out for hours and hours and hours, and everybody's high as fuck, and it's just the most sad scene ever. It's not. When I hear about raves now, I hear more like there's a lot of sobriety that's happening in it. So people are just going in to really experience the sound and the music. Yeah, and dancing and expressing yourself that way.
Crazy.
Yeah, it just was not like that.
So like how long did this go on for? You're with this older dude. He's introduced meth. You hear this story all the time. Yeah. All the fucking time. These little lost, needing acceptance, needing love. Yep. And now you're doing that. How long does this last for?
Less than 1.5 years. And this is what I've noticed about myself over the course of years and the level of addiction that's in my family. Yeah. I never stayed in it for too long. So this one, I just started seeing the effects it was having with everything around me. So I was failing grade 12. I had a saying, don't do meth at school. Don't stay up for more than 3 days. That was it. Those were your rules? Those were my rules.
Wow.
It's fucked.
How old were you when you did meth for the first time?
Grade 12.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before that,
did it a lot.
Okay. So
almost the whole year.
After school, you would go home and do it?
Oh, yeah.
So you're with this guy.
Yeah.
You go home from school and you're doing it.
Yeah.
Are you looking do you have
Nobody knew. Nobody knew. And actually with my body type, when I don't eat, I gain weight. So I really wasn't losing weight. I did it to lose weight. That was my biggest excuse because I was so insecure with my body.
Yeah.
I wanted to lose weight. And so I'd smoke that shit and just hope for the best.
Wow, TT.
Yeah. Yeah, so I almost failed grade 12, and the almost is because of Mr. Longridge. He knew something wasn't right. All I did, so I took fucking social studies 3 times. My last time from the same teacher. I'm not going to even give energy to that name. But my last time I took socials, he failed me by 0.5%, and he wouldn't give it to me. Just would not. There was zero compassion, not really understanding what I was going through. It's fucking social studies.
Okay.
So I could not graduate until I had that. So Mr. Longridge gave me a booklet, a socials, not realizing what level of a learning disability I actually was dealing with.
Yeah.
Because nobody really dealt with that either.
Yes.
So I literally gave this book to my best friend, and she did it for me. and then for the grace of God, I graduated. I didn't get to walk.
No.
But I
Why?
did get
I missed school?
because at that time when they were doing cap and gown, I was not graduating.
Oh.
So it wasn't until like the next year. But when I looked at my diploma, Mr. Longridge put it as 99 when I was supposed to graduate. So it was like, I know, what a sweetheart.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Did you go to your grad stuff?
Yeah, I fucking helped plan my grad reunion.
Situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And it like the more I talk about our grad reunion, the more I see how many people don't do their reunions. And I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with.
You're almost like.
I know. Because like
say it.
people that come to the grad reunions were the ones that felt like they weren't connected. They felt like misfits themselves. So it's interesting because it just seems like those who did not have compassion for their class are the ones that don't show up. So it's really interesting. Sorry for listening, calling you out, but that's the truth. Mm-hmm. It's the hard truth because the last reunion we had, I had to call every single person myself and find out why they weren't coming. And it was always because of how they were treated in high school. Wow. So I had to coach everybody, basically. I felt like I had to coach everybody just to like let it go. Just show up. And
did people show up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they did.
They felt seen and heard from you.
Yeah, I guess so.
I love that you
made
did
a panel. We made a panel of like, I wasn't the only one. There was about 6 of us. And I made it so that we could like work together and unify and just, I think more heads are better than one when it comes to creating things.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah. You've always been good at that.
Yeah. So it was beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of people came. And because of that grad reunion, we're going to start hosting them every 5 years. Nice. So we got one coming up next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, TT.
Thank you.
Hey, sharing this story is crazy. Nobody would have known that. Oh,
222.
222, guys. You can't see it on there. Mr. Dar. So, okay. So let's go back. So now you've gone through the whole meth thing. What got you the fuck out of that and off of that?
I have a feeling it was my team and my
spirit team.
Yeah, and my higher self, because I didn't know who talks to me like that. It was just that innate knowing of like, this is not for me. Like, I am not meant for this. This is like, look at these people. They're high as fuck and they're not doing shit with their lives. Yeah. And look where I'm at. I'm on a downward spiral. Mm-hmm. These realizations came to me like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm out. I can't do it anymore. So I was on the phone with my mom, and I still talk to my mom, right? But
at that point?
Yeah. She'd pick me up on the way to school, dropping my sisters off. She'd pick me up and drive me.
Okay.
But I talked to her every so often, and I just told her I'm done.
Did she know you were doing meth?
I don't remember. Probably not.
To that extent.
Yeah, probably not. But she never did like the boyfriend. So he was away in Kelowna, and I told her when he gets back, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And she's like, why don't I just come get you now? I'm like, okay, let's go.
Good.
Yeah, so she came, she picked me up, packed my shit, fucking left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you tell him?
Fuck no.
You just left?
I just left.
Did he wonder what happened to you?
Oh, God, yeah. He showed up at my door multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being like, come back
to
the meth lab
where
you belong. Not. Wow. Then what happens?
Then,
Are we working at...
Yeah. No, not yet. No. Then...
What are you doing now at school? So basically...
I've graduated now. Like, I'm not going to school anymore.
Okay. But when you were going to school, did you do anything else? Did you do any extracurriculum?
No.
Or was it just more like friends,
party.
Okay, just party central.
Party central.
Okay.
Yeah. So I drew a lot.
Yes.
So am an artist, but I spent a lot of time on my pieces. So
magical pieces.
Yeah. Beautiful pieces. And Yeah, so when I moved back home, my mother and I, again, butt heads again. It didn't matter what age I was at. It was just always something. So where we lived, because I lived down the road from very influential people in my life right now. Dave is one of them, who's now my husband. We've been together for 24 years now.
Yeah.
And then my best friend, who I didn't know at the time was going to be my best friend, was Jackie.
Yeah.
So she lived a few doors down.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. There was a few other people. But I'd go and I'd babysit Jackie's daughters because they were twins. They are twins.
You're like,
They're
they
older.
were.
They're older now. Yeah, and so she was a widow and single mom, dealing with twins. Her heart broke when she had to like discipline them. So when I would babysit, I would discipline them.
Oh my God.
She loved it. She thought it was fucking great.
Yeah.
So Jackie and I developed a relationship over time, and I'd share with her with what was going on and stuff. And she told me, she's like, Tiff, you ever need a place to stay, you fucking stay with me. And I'm like, okay. So one day I had to take her up on it. Packed my shit. There I was at Jackie's now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I stayed with her for a period of time. I didn't know, was not taught anything. Like I wasn't taught like moral grounds, integrity, show up. People are depending on you. Like I had a job, and it was just like, worked at Bagel Street Cafe, and I'd steal bagels because I was just like, I can just.
Didn't matter.
They were mine. They're mine.
Wow.
They're not fucking yours. They're mine.
Yeah. So
I stole a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just lived a very dishonest life.
Wow.
I never stole from Jackie.
Yeah.
I had nothing but respect for her. But over time, she's like, hey, Tiff, it's time to spread your wings and like go. Move along. And I respected that. I didn't even challenge that, and I moved back home with my mom.
Okay.
What do you think happened?
Same. It's like the universe is like, the door is closed. It's closed.
Yeah. Don't do it. So I had to move out again. It's just, you see this repeated. This cycle, right? And I had to move out. And Dave was my now partner. Him and I decided to be partners.
Okay.
When I moved into Jackie's place, or like when I left my boyfriend, Dave and I decided that we were going to be partners.
And so you guys were living separately but dating.
Yeah.
And you graduated by this time.
Yeah. So when it was time to move out again, we decided to move out together, and we moved into Auntie Sue's place.
You can't make this shit up, Delkis.
Who's Auntie Sue? Kristen's Auntie Sue.
Come on.
Yep. Hanging out with Kristen's cousin. And met
Jen
Kristen.
And Trav.
Yep.
My Auntie Sue.
Yep.
You're living in the basement suite?
Yep.
That's the first place you move out to?
Yep. In that basement suite.
There's where
Isn't
the
that
contract.
wild?
That's where the contract starts.
Yeah. Jen and I ended up having a falling out. Naturally, we don't know how to have a proper friendship when all we're doing is partying and up to shenanigans and all the things.
And at that time, though, Tiff, like when I think back, like how I kind of entered in and witnessed a lot of things. For me, I'm this young girl growing up, and like that era, it was like partying, stealing, just drinking, get ready, and just go out. That's what I observed. It's just seeing.
That's what we did,
and that's all that was being done.
Yeah,
and like thinking of like even Dave and Travis and like them living the fast life, and like
Dave worked at Roosters
exactly
for a while,
and it was all about how the appearance and the muscles and the strength and the music and the freaking bass and the cars. It was so brutal. Like it was just like I just remember that aggression.
Lots of aggression. Yes. It was very interesting times.
Yeah, and it's like you can see how there's mirrors all around everybody and everybody's pain, how it mirrors, and stuff with my cousin and like her upbringing and her dad's stuff. Like you can see the mirrors everywhere. Yeah. Of how, even my cousin, like there's there's trauma there, and like there's just so much, and it just gets mirrored, and then we bring in friends and
everybody's
kind of shit out of each other.
Everybody's kind of operating the same vibration.
That's it.
But nobody really talked about the hard shit.
No,
it was just like,
so
yeah,
surface.
shit happened, move on.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we're actually doing these things, living in these addictions because of the trauma.
That's right.
So we're not even bringing attention to the right things.
No, and then blaming others or pointing fingers, like we always say.
Yeah.
Look at the amount of fingers pointing back at you.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
so
lots
cool.
of blame. I resented
cool.
my mother for years. The toxic mind control I'd put myself under for so long. And it's the same cycle my mom and her family lived in for so many years. So there was no breaking that until we went to Landmark.
Yep.
And Kristen and I did Landmark together. And I went to Landmark to fix my marriage. Like, I thought we were so broken as a marriage. But what it was is two people that had shit that they never dealt with.
On their own.
Mm-hmm. So I ended up dealing with all my mother
wounds.
Issues. Yeah.
The mother line.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that cycle broke for me like that.
Wow.
And I hadn't at that time, I hadn't talked to my mom for 3 years. That was the longest stint because we were always on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And then when none of my sisters were talking to her either. Like, it was just fucking brutal.
Yeah.
So when I let that shit go, I just saw her for who she was with the compassion and the love.
Okay.
And just decided I wanted to have, if I was going to have any type of relationship, to set those boundaries and just make sure we don't cross them.
Yeah.
And we did. We did that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so eventually the sisters came in and rebonded with her. And yeah.
Wow.
I know. Crazy.
It's such a wild fucking ride.
It really is.
When you look back. Life is way better understood backwards.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, so now you've moved into Auntie Sue's, you're with Dave, what are you doing now? What are you doing at this point?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was working at Petrocan for a good couple years.
Okay.
And
Which one was that?
Oh, all over, all of them. I worked at all of them. Yeah, I just bounced around.
Okay. Did they just do that on purpose? Like pass you off to different ones?
They owned different ones.
Okay.
So like if they needed help or anything. But eventually I got caught stealing.
I was just going to ask. I had something come in to say, well, that was only for so long.
Yeah.
Because that's perfect store to be in to steal what you need.
Yeah. Just take what I need and
all the things.
Whatever.
Okay, so you get caught stealing.
Yeah. I think it was not more or less stealing, just like acting out of integrity for the job. So I wasn't taking my job seriously.
Yeah.
Even though I was stealing. But Dave's sister was managing the Blockbuster in Maple Ridge. I needed a job. Dave put in a good word for me. Started working at Blockbuster. So I did that for about 4 years.
With you and your khakis.
Yeah, my khakis.
Love it.
Yeah, it's funny because working in Blockbuster and Petrocan, you see everybody that lives in Maple Ridge.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody.
100%.
Yeah.
So you and Dave are still living at Sue's basement at this point?
Yes.
Okay. And what else is going on?
Nothing. Just
the same thing.
Just two little assholes treating each other like shit.
Yeah.
Dave and I, because we were best friends, we still had altercations in that way. Yeah. Not as two lovers. So we didn't treat each other with the most respect.
Okay.
Okay. We still treat each other like fucking siblings, like we did for a number of years before we decided to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a certain level of abuse that was going on.
Yeah.
By both of us.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was living at Sue's where she was like, "Get your fucking shit together." I was like, I'm so happy she said that, because that's when I was like, hey, no more. Like, we cannot do this anymore. Like, she was like annoyed. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Just like your guys, the way that you would treat each other.
Oh, yeah. Yelling, cursing, swearing. Just like nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah.
You know, just kids just being fucking immature kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what happens? When do you guys move from Sue's?
We decided to move out of there, and we wanted to get out of Maple Ridge. So we moved to Coquitlam with two of Dave's best friends. So we got a house.
Okay.
And all we did was just work. We worked and ate lots of food.
Yeah.
Watched a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Not a lot of partying going on. I mean, there was still partying, but not at that calibre. When it came time to being of age, that changed everything because we moved out when I was 18.
Okay.
And then, merging into 19, even though we were still going to the bars. But my girlfriend and I took it to a different level, and we were kind of out at the bars like 3-4 days a week, like
just drinking
and
partying
just
and
the
just
same shit.
Same.
Like I just can't
Escaping.
believe how long I did that for. Like
Yeah.
it's so fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
I know.
It's all part of it.
Yes.
So what are you doing at this point now? When did you take a turn to do your aesthetics?
When I kind of was like giving myself that grace of time after graduation just to kind of like party and just do nothing. And it just got to a point where I was like hitting 20, 21, and I'm like, I better figure my shit out. I better go to school for something, set myself up for down the road. So I took beauty school, which was like, I did that because it was more familiar to me. My mom was a nail tech hairdresser. My aunt was a beautician.
Mm-hmm.
My other aunt was a beautician. I knew a lot about makeup. I don't know. It was just comfortable for me. And so, yeah.
So you went from the gas stations to Blockbuster, from Blockbuster to...
Blanche McDonald.
So that's, okay, I just want to make sure I'm on the road, on the path.
On the pathway to Paves.
So then TT goes to Blanche McDonald. She does it. You excel at it. You do wonderful.
Yeah.
Then after that, what are you doing? You get a job.
Yes, I got a job at Absolute Spa in Hotel Vancouver.
Yes.
Yes.
You used to fucking SkyTrain down there.
Every morning. Yeah. I'd get up at 6 a.m, walk my ass to the SkyTrain, fucking go to work, come home around 7. I did that for like a good solid year. And then I got pregnant with Cohen.
So are you guys living on 222 yet?
Yeah.
And the fact that we had 222 for that?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tiffany and Dave are at 222. We haven't done Landmark yet at this point.
No.
So Tiffany and I are still intertwined in out of each other's lives because who I was with before was also friends with Dave, in and out.
Yeah, they kind of grew up together too.
In and out. And so I remember many times Tiffany would do my roots. Remember, I'd come over.
Yeah, you're blonde.
My blonde. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'd come over, and then I think you had gotten pregnant, but even maybe before you were pregnant, I just remember me, Paul, you, Dave, Stephanie.
Yeah.
We would go out, went to like nightclubs or different things like that.
We had a lot of fun.
We did have a lot of fun.
We did have a lot of fun. And it was funny because you and Steph were just so sweet. Like, to me, like you just held a big space in my heart, the two of you. You guys were so fucking cute. Even though I was like the third guy.
Oh, but just we have so much love for you. Like, it was just
it was
not
never,
even a question.
You know, my mom always raised me with that saying, two's a company, three's a crowd.
I always heard that too.
I never felt that way with you guys.
No.
Ever. Like, it was just always fucking fun.
It was fun. Yeah. You know what I remember right now that's so vivid? First of all, I just remember you coming into Mopman. We were downstairs. We were actually going out somewhere with, I think, even my parents, because my parents would come along. And I remember my white blonde hair was so big, and it's like not flat iron, it's like frizzy. And I just remember Tiffany coming up to me, like getting the oils from her hands and just being like, running it through, being like, girl, like, we got to do something with this hair. And I'm just like, like this blonde fucking.
Well, you were like a little
blonde
sister to me.
Oh,
I feel
100%.
like that was the energy that we were kind of operating at. You were just
always
like anything to do to like protect you, I think, and like
100%. So I remember now back again. I don't know why we're at Mopman.
Keep going.
Okay. And Tiffany, I think you're pregnant at this point, and we're going to do a Halloween something. We're going to a Halloween party, and Tiffany's a bubble. You've got the balloons all over you. Are you pregnant with Cohen?
Oh, I must have been because I
Yes.
think I was driving.
Yeah, like you weren't drinking.
No.
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 So where
'Cause
were we
ended
going
up,
for that?
We ended up going to Coquitlam.
Yeah, where were we going?
Some random party.
It was a Halloween party.
Yeah, it was a random party, and the police ended up coming to break it up before we could even like go in. And I believe we must have gone somewhere else because like nothing was gonna stop us from having a good time.
Yeah.
Like we were just a
I
force to be
remember.
reckoned with.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, what else was I saying? And another part, like, you guys have both, Dave and you. It's always been that like brothers and sisters and like the protectors, because there was a time that Dave really stepped in big time with me. I was mistreated and called a very disrespectful name from the ex, and Dave was just like, that's not okay. Like that was a really big moment, pivotal moment in my life, for somebody taking a stand for me, which was really good and very special, because he was just like, no, like that's not okay. You don't talk to people that way. And I always remembered that you guys have always been, even for others, just a very safe space for people to go. Like I slept on your couch.
Yeah.
Like there's been many times that
We've had a lot of people sleeping on our couches.
100%. So back to you're pregnant now. You're pregnant with Cohen, and you're doing Blanche McDonald. You're doing your thing.
Yes.
I have to really pee.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I go pee? I really have to go pee.
Go, girl.
I know. I'm so into your story.
Oh my god, I hope you guys are enjoying this. We're already at an hour and 20 minutes. She's still talking, as if. Yeah, if I talk about Cohen, and our marriage, well, we weren't even married yet at that time because of my crazy relationship cycles. I couldn't commit. And David asked me to marry him numerous times. And I said no every time. But there was just this thing in me, and it's like, okay, for the level of fighting that we would do, just because of how immature we were, I thought if we could have a child and see how that goes, maybe we could do marriage. And that's basically how that happened. So when Cohen was a year old, we decided to get married. And Cohen was just my new purpose. He was the biggest reason why I just kind of strayed on a different path, a little bit more mellow, a little bit more conservative, a little more chill. Just say after having Cohen, just being a little bit more mellow.
Things changed.
Mellow. Yeah. I was just, because we'd done so much partying, I don't know, I was just over it.
Yes, and especially being able to be for 9 months and you're caring for another and you're not drinking or anything. You're just so clear and level-headed.
Yeah, definitely.
You probably were like, wow, this is a new me.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so you have Cohen and you're off from work. Are you back working? What happens?
Well, I decided not to go back to work. Okay. And because with the career I decided to choose from, which I did on purpose because I knew I could work from home having children, just like my mother did. Okay. My mom was a nail tech. So I decided to work from home, and I did that for a period of time until it was time to get the fuck out of the house.
Yes.
And that's when I came to Brits.
Do you see?
This is where Kristen had already done hairdressing, and she started in working at a hair salon in Maple Ridge.
On 224.
Yep.
Right from fucking hair school. Right into it.
Yeah, right into it.
Mandy was like, yep. It was perfect.
And because you and I had a connection, I decided just to kind of ask you, see what was going on, and I went and checked it out. And then before you knew it, I was moving in, and you were moving out.
Kind of. Weren't you in? You were in there for a bit before I moved out.
Yes.
We worked together for a bit.
A very short period of time. Yes. I think you were like, I don't think you'd started your plan yet.
No.
Your exit yet, but
it was kind of happening.
Yeah, it was kind of happening. Yeah.
Another story. That'll be for a... Okay, so now you're working there. You're doing your thing.
Yeah.
When When did this big shift, life change start to happen? When was that? When was Landmark?
Landmark.
You guys were at the other home
Yeah.
because I was going through a really hard time and having a lot of troubles, but I was going through counseling and this positive stuff. But
Pretty
the
sure I
relationship,
had Charlie already, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
So you're okay.
So I would say Landmark happened around 2015, 2014.
Okay.
That's when that one happened. Because I started...
2015 sounds probably.
Yeah, it sounds about right. That was a pretty pivotal year. It really was. I always remember going, oh, 2015. Fuck this. Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you guys decide to go to Landmark due to relationship stuff. You're
Yeah.
thinking like, I'm checking out.
Yeah. And then, what kept us going in our marriage and like our relationship with each other was just the history that we had. We had so much history. And I never liked, I always wanted just to be consistent in some sort of relationship.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was just willing to do kind of anything to make sure that I said I did everything, at that time. So that one, that was the pivotal moment. Because nobody taught us how to think like that. I had no idea.
We were rocked.
And it's shit that we teach now. So all of our listeners, everybody that follows us are already so like miles ahead of where Kristen and I were when we did Landmark. Like we literally did this. Nobody fucking talked about this shit. Nobody talked about spirituality. People that were spiritual hid under rocks and had their own thing going on. They didn't share in the level that we were sharing. Yeah. And those who did were like Tony Robbins. I don't even think Gabby Bernstein was out yet.
No.
Nelson Mandela. Yeah, Nelson Mandela. These were people that were like Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
These were people that were like sharing their tragedies.
Yes.
And they were the examples that we were kind of living off of. But yet it seems so far-fetched because they were celebrities. Yeah. And I was little old me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that may be true for them, but it's not true for me.
Yeah.
Right? I can't do that.
Yeah.
That can't be me.
Right.
So you're in Landmark. Tiffany and I do Landmark together. Who I was with at the time did it too. Of course, Dave. And it was just like, wow. Everything we learned that we basically chose and created and did. And it's like, I remember the guy saying to me, he's like, why did you choose a Playboy to be your boyfriend? I'm like, what? I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm like, okay, I would choose this. He's like, you did. And then I had to sit with that. That was the most uncomfortable thing ever. I'm like, oh, I fucking did.
Yeah.
I knew.
It's time to take responsibility.
Yes, radical responsibility.
Radical responsibility.
That's what happened to us in 3 days.
Oh my God.
And it's like, I had been seeing Lisa at this point already.
Okay.
And I had been seeing her doing this, but then it was like, this was that carpet rip moment for us.
Okay, yeah,
where we were just like, everything is now gone. What is
what
this?
We thought we knew was nothing. And we thought we were the bomb diggity, and we thought we had shit somewhat figured out. But if for those who are listening, what is Landmark? It's transformative thinking. Yeah. It's taking radical responsibility for
your life,
our lives, because we're the ones that we're the ones that put ourselves there, and we're the ones that can take ourselves out. Like we can recreate these stories.
You're your biggest problem, and you're also your greatest solution.
Right?
That is it. It starts with you and it ends with you.
Yeah. And
there's nobody else to fucking blame. And who are you going to do? What are you going to do to really take the responsibility? Ugh. Just take today, one step at a time.
So true.
So, Landmark happens. What happens in your relationship? Like you were going in there being like, yeah, this is not good.
Well, I was a finger pointer.
Okay.
Right? Like that's how I was raised. Do you know how hard it was for me to apologize? Wow. Like I did not say sorry for anything for years. Wow. Until Landmark.
Huge.
So I never used those words before.
Okay.
My mom never owned shit. Like she owned things like in sobriety in that way, but I never heard it coming from her to me. Mm-hmm. Like there was never those conversations. Mm-hmm. She shared those moments maybe in a crowd of people, taking radical responsibility in front of people, but there was like behind closed doors. So I just never really.
There was a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
From a lot of wounding.
Yes. And it was just like from ancestors and just.
And what about
childhood trauma shit?
And what about Landmark? So you forgave her at that point?
Oh God, yeah.
Cool.
It's funny because I'm like, I want to deal with my marriage. And then my mom kept coming up, and it was just like, it broke me. And it's just, I was that stallion into a little pony.
Yeah.
Like,
Same.
honestly.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. You can't unsee that shit. And, I mean, you can for a little while, but as you know.
Keep distracting or denying you can, but that's it.
But it was a good door open.
Good.
It was a really good door open, and yeah.
And then did you see Dave in a different light?
I think I saw myself in a different light.
Okay.
So it started with me. Like, I mean, the advice I give now is you can't change anybody.
No.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
So the way, when I started working on myself, I saw things differently. So yeah, I did see Dave differently, in a different light. But that was just the beginning of our chapter.
That's it.
We were just in the beginning.
Yeah. Then what happens?
Well, after Charlie, so I realized I was extremely depressed.
Okay.
Really depressed. And I knew I was sugar addicted.
Okay.
And I was emotionally unstable.
Okay.
And
at this point, let's just go back for a second. You haven't had workouts involved in your life at all. Nothing to do with working out.
No, but I would join the like any school sports I could, but it wasn't until we had to pay money, I had to quit. Like I'd play until we had to pay money, and then.
But throughout your life,
no, I didn't.
Even after Cohen, even after Charlie.
Yeah.
Nowhere. I just wanted to let the viewers
know. I think Landmark actually happened after that, because I started working out. I went into CrossFit after my bikini competition. That's when I met my new friend, and she was the one that introduced me to Landmark.
Okay, so you were already on your fitness journey then.
Yes.
Because also I came to you with the Zija, and that's what got the Landmark.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were the reason why I wanted to touch on this is because I love this. The most pivotal moment for you was you going through the depression, the anxiety, troubles in the marriage, all these things, right?
Yeah.
You needed to make a radical change.
Yeah.
So where was that change where you're like, I'm not happy, I need something? And where did that fitness door open? That's where
so that's right. So going back a little bit before Landmark, it was understanding that I was depressed.
Okay.
So I knew that something had to change. I was really hard to be around with. I was extremely negative, angry, tired. I couldn't stay out of the pantry. Like I'm going for things that are not. It's just like empty calories, right? I hate my body. I hate the way I feel.
Okay.
I remember being in the pantry crying, just wanting to stop eating.
Okay.
Like it was brutal. My older sister started working with isogenics. And she knew where I was at. Yeah. She knew I needed it. But I wasn't used to investing in myself yet. Because I grew up poor. Mm-hmm. I never saw that, like I was enough, or that it was even possible. It
or
was
that
always
you were
like
worthy to even have
just the struggle of like not having money. Okay. Everything. I don't have money for that. I can't afford it.
And see how that affirmation is so detrimental.
I thought the whole affirmation thing was a fucking crock of shit.
Wow.
But I lived it.
Yeah.
And I passed through it, succumbed it. It was just like...
That's why I'm wanting you to share all these lows so people can understand.
Legit.
You didn't believe in any of that.
No, I didn't even believe in myself.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
Isogenics happens. Where does the fitness start?
Well, so I'm putting dense nutrition in my body at this point. So I'd never had shakes before. I'd never had supplements before. Now, Dave's been going to the gym since I've ever met him.
Yeah.
He's always been doing that. And,
yeah.
I'm always so grateful that he always accepted me for who I was and never pushed. Because I was always like, I don't need to go to the gym. that's for you kind of people.
Right.
I never imagined
Just resented
myself. Yeah. Now it was a competition. How long could I not go to the gym?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you're going to rebel.
Yeah.
Here's the rebel.
I'm so
cycle.
rebellious. Yeah, so once I started putting that nutrition in my body, that's when I started seeing things so clear. It was that high I was talking about. That fog got lifted off my shoulders. I could finally see clear. It was fucked. And so I started losing weight naturally when you put dense nutrition in your body.
Because I came in again with isogenics.
Yeah. Or it's just Sandy did. And then you had Zija.
No, I got isogenics and joined from you.
Oh, you did.
I'm pretty sure. And then got
probably.
Yes, this is so awesome.
Probably, yeah. So I was still rebellious to the gym, but what ended up happening is that I ended up having so much energy. I just didn't know what to do with it. So I had to start exercising because I had to like release.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went to fitness?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just all of a sudden got an image. I just remember you going to fitness.
Yeah. Went to fitness. Yeah. So that's how that started. And being in fitness, going there every day, enjoying my new routine, seeing the benefits. Like I was really
your you time.
Yeah,
away
my
from
me
being
time.
a mom.
And I don't even think I had really like maybe my body shape changed a bit. I always had like a natural athletic body.
Yeah.
So I don't think I was like as small as I could have been if I was going to change my body.
Okay.
But I was surrounded by people who did bodybuilding shows.
Okay.
I had this drive, this call to like compete.
Cool.
I wanted to see what I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to like test myself, challenge myself. So the only thing that was like influencing me right now at that point was bodybuilding.
Okay.
So I kind of put it in the ethers that I wanted to do my first bodybuilding. I had a girlfriend that was a bodybuilder, trainer. I used to do her nails and her makeup and stuff. And she said she wanted to start training people.
Cool.
Would you be part of my like guinea pig group? And it was like me and two other girls.
Cool.
And so we would work out together. We followed her meal plan. She got us stage ready. I lost all this weight.
I remember.
People thought I was on steroids. They're like, what the fuck? But it's just like my body type.
Yes.
Like I build muscle fast, but I gain fat fast, but I can fucking
rock it.
I can really get tight. So we made it, got to the stage. I was really humbled because I thought I was going to win it all.
That's okay.
Well, the transformation that I had.
You won it all.
I wanted it all.
But you won it all.
I did win it all, but I wanted to be seen as that I won it all.
Got it.
And I really didn't resonate so much with how pretty you had to look to be on stage in order to win. I did it just for the sake of following through with my plan, but I just didn't resonate with it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a girl that I met that was on my same line on stage with somebody that I possibly put in the hospital from fighting all those years ago.
Oh, wow.
But we kind of reunited, and obviously I apologize for everything.
Good. I love that.
Yes.
Forgiveness.
Oh, yeah. But we ended up talking, and she's like, hey, I was like, how the fuck did you get so fit? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm just doing CrossFit. I'm like, what the fuck is CrossFit?
Cool.
She's like, why don't you just come to my gym? Come for a day. It's free. And the main reason why I wanted to do that is because my prep for bodybuilding almost ended my marriage.
Yes.
Okay? You're going squirrely. It's a very independent sport.
Yes.
Dave, is very connected with me. He wanted to do things together. He didn't fully understand what it was I had to go through in order to get to that stage. So I thought it'd be cool to do CrossFit because that's something we could do together.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah. And then the rest of that was history. But yeah.
That's so cool.
CrossFit just became my new passion because I wanted to compete. Well, 6 months later, I was competing in CrossFit.
Killing it.
It's 6 months.
World,
Yeah, it wasn't
like around
bad.
Canada.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It did pretty good. It was pretty natural for me.
So cool.
Yeah, so cool. I just had to like hone in on my form, my practice, have a little bit more of a lung capacity, even though it actually was pretty high. I mean, I remember racing a bunch of guys. Like we were running and I was beating everybody.
Like CrossFit is insane.
Yes.
Like your workouts. Oh my God. Insane, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, that sport probably changed my life and my perspective because I was always looking, I was so social, looking for a common interest of people, like being part of a common interest.
Yeah.
And CrossFit was it.
And
Because you go into a gym, especially this gym, everybody was just like, hey,
family vibes.
family.
Acceptance.
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah, working together, high-fiving, lifting each other up. It was so my vibe. And I was like, I was so addicted to that part. And not to mention, obviously, getting fucking strong as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, undeniably,
best shape of your life.
That is the best way to get strong. As strong as I did.
Wow.
For my body type or for anybody, I just feel like that's the best way.
Yeah.
Now, just for the sake of talking about CrossFit, the main thing that people think of right away when you say CrossFit is injury. But I have to say, with the right coaching and implementing the right modalities with that practice, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Competed for 7 years.
That's
CrossFit.
amazing.
Learned a lot.
Yes.
Learned a lot. I had really good coaches.
Yeah.
Really good coaches.
And it's put it all into your practice today.
Yeah.
Like you can understand why you had to go through all that.
I still do CrossFit.
Yeah.
I don't even call it fucking CrossFit because
what is it?
This modality's been going on way before CrossFit was CrossFit. Elite athletes, football players, soccer players, they're doing clean and jerks. Like they're doing functional movements, bringing the heart rate up, bringing it down.
What I like about what you do though is the fact that you can get a workout in. Like I remember I had not even 45 minutes, but I was done. Yeah. That's all you need when you're hitting when you know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah. You're like, hey, we'll get you there fast. Done and done.
You could do
30-minute workout.
Not even 15 minutes.
I know.
You really
can really maximize your time.
You really can. But I don't always suggest that. Yes, you can get fit and do that by having 15, 20-minute workouts, but that's a lot of hard work that you're putting in and your muscles shorten. You got to regain that flexibility and mobility because that's what gets you injured.
Okay. What brings you now from there to today? What's the most life-changing thing that brought you from CrossFit to today? How did you transform? So we know Landmark transformed you. We know the piece of working out transformed you. What bridges that gap now from Tiffany even 2 years ago?
Oh, from 2 years ago?
Well, just from there till now.
Well, I mean, the biggest take back that transformation of just being on my own and not being in a gym. Let me just see. Call you back. My daughter's texting me. Okay.
It's a long episode.
This is a really long episode, Kristen. Holy shit.
It's good.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too. But we gotta
finish
top
this.
it with the frickin', just like you said. What did you say to me?
Don't slow down before the finish line.
Yeah, we're gonna frickin' bang this daddy out.
You got it. Okay, so there was just a couple things that happened that really broke my heart, and I want to write a book about this.
You already are going to, and there's going to be. It's already done.
It's happening.
100%.
This really rocked me. I don't want to give too much energy to individuals that were part of this, but I always kind of put everybody on the same platform. I always will love and respect everybody, but to allow every single one of those people to have the same level of my heart, I found that's kind of something that I really had to learn.
Yes.
So I didn't realize. So, okay, here, going back, I've never dealt with the level of drama as an adult that I did it in high school. And I think the reason why I got away with that is because I would work with my fists and nobody would fuck around.
Okay.
You're not going to jail under 18, but as an adult, people will definitely challenge you. Mm-hmm. And I just felt unprepared for being just kind of bullied, I would say. Even though, like, I'm not anybody, I'm not a person to bully. Mm-hmm. Let's just say, it's just not. Like, I'll put you in your spot. I've learned so much now.
Not in a physical way.
Not in a physical way.
No, and also about boundaries. You would just
100%
not allow that in.
But at this period of time, I didn't fully understand how to step in my power here. I did physically, but mentally, even though we did landmark, that was just a taste of like the muscle, the mental capacity, and how to deal with
and it goes to show us, if you don't use it, you lose it. So here, Tiffany and I do a great thing of landmark, but if you don't consistently do the work like we do now, no,
we didn't. We did landmark, and we thought that was going to fix everything, and we just stopped.
Yeah, and I went in and out of counseling, of course, which was huge, but still,
we didn't involve ourselves with any community or anything to do that supported that level of work.
Yeah.
So I was part of a competitive team within our gym. It was just a bunch of people who just kind of wanted to compete, you know, so we had that in common. And I had never dealt with jealous women in the way that I had here, which really caught me off guard because nobody really did that to me in high school. And then having children, I didn't really experience that either because I knew who I knew and people knew who I was. I don't know. I never had those issues.
And I might beg to differ because I feel like when you would walk in a room anywhere you've gone, from my experience, from my perspective, you've always been very outspoken and looked very confident. And even in the way that you would dress and how you look, you're beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I think you just didn't realize that was some of these people's issues.
I had no idea.
It would just downplay, and then people would push you away and you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I think that's more to that than you even knew.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I didn't, because I didn't view myself that way. Mm-hmm. So I never looked outside the box.
Yeah.
But what was the reality is I was dealing with some really jealous females.
Okay. That
had been under the radar of their cruel intentions for a good year before I had caught wind of it.
Okay.
And the first time that I felt that happen, I approached it. I confronted them, dealt with it. It was over. Like, just like what dudes would do.
Yeah.
Just water under the bridge.
Let's move
like,
on.
move on. Like, fucking, it was just a misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. Not a big deal. But then it happened the second time. And it was a lot more fierce. And so now, because that was my safe place, it was no longer my safe place.
Got it.
So I felt abandoned. I felt, can you help me with some words? Like, I felt like
alone, abandoned, probably
rejected.
Rejected.
It just really intensified all my childhood issues.
Everything.
Right? Because I didn't put attention to people's negative shit. Because I had my own shit going on.
Yeah.
I'm not a jealous person.
No.
I'm really not. Like, I've always just encouraged other women. You know, if you look beautiful, I'll tell you look beautiful. If you fucking did something wicked, I'll tell you did something wicked.
And that's true. Tiffany has always. And you've celebrated beauty in women.
Always. Well, I was a makeup artist. Mm-hmm. I was a fucking beautician for a career. I made women beautiful.
Yes, and feel beautiful.
And feel beautiful is a passion. And when I would get the opposite, and of course this would happen because these people don't know me outside the gym. They don't even know who the fuck I am. Mm-hmm. Had they known who I was, they never would have taken it to that level.
Mm-hmm. Especially with your intentions.
Yeah, and it literally was a carpet rip for me. Okay. And I was so taken back that this was happening because it started affecting my space being at the gym.
Yeah.
It was getting really toxic. And that was my That was my place just to like for me time, get out of my house, being mom, you know, getting stuck to my day-to-day chores. Like I didn't party, I didn't do anything. Like at that time I really wasn't even drinking. I didn't do anything. I just trained and went home and was a mom.
Yeah.
So, but what these people didn't understand what I was up against. And because one day I was having a hard time at home and I didn't say hi to somebody, they took it so offensively that was like the fucking curveball to it all. It just turned into this, oh my God, it manifested into something fierce for them. So once I found out what was really going on, I left. I left that gym. And let's just say, people, you can't run away from your problems. Because I went to another gym and they followed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fierce.
Yeah.
And then when I didn't feel supported there, I left. And I'm like, I can't trust the daughter. Yeah, I just couldn't trust anybody anymore. I was just kind of like, you know what, this is my time to go within. I kind of depended on working out as a group for a long time.
Right.
And I really wanted to train people. With all the knowledge that I had gained through competing and the level of work that I had done, I knew, because it changed my life, I wanted to be that conduit for others.
Yeah.
So I did not want to deal with the politics of it, going to another gym, paying their fees, not getting the full, like what I fully deserve, having all these certificates. Because at that time you needed all these certificates to even qualify to do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to fucking do my own thing. So went home. I bought myself a barbell, a few weights, started training with that. Eventually started building my gym. Now I got this like badass gym.
Yeah.
And yeah, took me a long time to learn how to work out by myself.
I bet.
Have that motivation just to fucking
do it.
Just to do it. But I do feel like it really helps creating that space that inspires you to do something like
100%.
that. Right?
And it's like you look back and you're like, well, that had to happen. Those things had to go down for me to push to have my own gym.
Yeah.
To then bring your own practice and help others.
And with my level of insecurity of not being enough, not good enough, that transition of me coaching took a long time.
Yeah.
Took a really long time. And then, you know, during that period of time, I joined Beachbody because I loved the community. I loved it.
I think there's a common denominator here.
Isn't
community.
There? Yeah. I love just like-minded individuals, people that are just truly have your higher good in play. Like they just want the best for you. Things that are working for you, you know, why not share that with everybody else? So I lacked community for a long time. I was yearning for it, but that was time for me to go within. And I'd been dealing with some struggles, and then that's when you and I had reunited, you know, a few years back. Fucking went to the creek.
Yeah.
And I was caught back into another fucking cycle, dealing with fucking drama, shit, and energy that has nothing to do with me. And I called Kristen and I'm like, fuck, man, like, this is my situation. Like, I got another carpet ripped from underneath me. I don't know what to do. Like, this is not my path. Like, I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do with my feelings. I didn't know how to handle them. She's like, here's my counselor's number, Lisa, fucking call her. So that's when I just started all my healing, like a different level of healing.
Oh yeah.
And teaching.
That was the insane level.
Shift.
That was the insane
That was
shift.
the biggest shift towards like the greater purpose and like all the things.
And like getting you fucking, the universe, your team is like, no. Shift.
Even
and
like
you did it.
For a period of time, like when I went within, even though I was training at the second gym, I was still looking for that bond.
Yeah.
But I also, because of what I learned, this calling to share it. So I came up with like the podcast idea. I'm like, how do I share really what I want to share? So I needed a space. So I It took me 2 years to step out of my comfort zone. That's when I started posting more and getting on social media more.
That's right.
Just to get more comfortable because
That's right.
I was so fucking insecure.
Yes.
And so I started my first podcast by myself. And it was called Tiff Says. And it was just like philosophy shit.
Yeah.
Just like things that we learned in
just practice.
Yeah, it was just practice. And it didn't feel like the thing.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, it was a lot of work. It's a lot of work having a podcast.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
But it's not. It's once you
Only
get
if
it.
you fucking know it.
Once you, it's like baby steps.
It is.
And then once you're consistent and like
finding a routine in it, I have to say it does really help having a partner. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like retired that podcast. And I knew a podcast was still in my calling. And I had like this premonition that I was going to have a partner. Mm-hmm. And so I met this gal and I started my second podcast with her. We had started with like the foundation of what we were going to do. Just before we launched, my feelings, I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. I'm like, this is not the person. I'm like, shit. But I didn't listen to my intuition yet. And I didn't follow it. So I left my integrity on the table and I just went ahead with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, bridges got crossed, fire burned.
Yeah. There's always there's always
red flag after red flag, you know, and didn't listen.
There's always mending, always can
always, yeah, right? And my innate knowing was like, no, this isn't it. Stop while you're ahead. And I didn't listen, so it's okay. The breakup was like, it was really shitty. Mm-hmm. But then when I saw you, and then, you know, you're so like outgoing and just so fucking like, you know, you stand in your power and you share it. What you share is like fucking, this is the goods, guys. This is the good golden nugget. I only know the best of the best is Kristen, right? And fucking, that's just how it started. So the concept was, we wanted to start a podcast with a panel of women. I had some experience with podcasting.
Yeah. Tiffany wanted a whole panel. She's like, whoever wants to come. She started her messenger, and it was like, so at this time, Tiffany's talking with Lisa. She's changing her ways in the sense of how you used to deal with things. Yeah. That was a big one. Big one. And then Tiffany decides to put this out, and then I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, I'm down. Why not? I'm of course scared and don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing. But you're perfect person. It goes with like who you are sharing. It just went hand in hand. It really did. And it was fucked up because not that long before, in 2019, after I left the relationship, and then I had a wicked, like the whole medical medium thing came in. Stevie, I had a wicked reading with her, and she pulls the card and it says speaker. But I didn't think anything of it because then after we start the podcast, mm-hmm. and I didn't pair that. Right. So Tiffany then comes and she says to the group, all these women are saying like, yeah, we're down, whatever. And only you, me, and the three of us showed up. Yeah. And that was it. And then we're kind of like, well, let's just keep it at this. I don't really want to make it with a whole bunch of other people trying to figure this out. No. It's the fact that we were the only ones that showed up. That was it. That was it. That was just what it was. And you girls were like, fuck these guys. Nobody else coming on here. We're going to do this. Yeah. And yeah, and then even that evolved over time. Dude, it was just crazy. Like, even the spiritual aspect of that. That is not what our intentions were going in. No. But you were practicing so much in that area that you're such a sharer. It was just natural for you. You wanted to talk about it. That's what the podcast was about. About speaking our truth and what's really holding close to our heart. And you did it. And the biggest thing for us too was like, I love about Tiffany so fucking much is she's so truthful. As you've seen on our episodes and our podcasts, like, dude, if you're going to smell your armpit, if you're going to fucking talk about getting a a surgery on your labia. Like, you're so dope, and like you share the things that people might not share due to caring what other people say or think about them, and you just say it, and it makes other people be able to show up for themselves and be seen, because they're like, oh well, you just said it, so what does that matter? It's beautiful.
It's interesting. You have that gift. No, you're right. And because I worked on that so hard, because I worked on that insecurity, because I was always so worried about the judgment.
Yeah.
I was so worried about what other people would think. And it didn't help with people that I was surrounding myself with that I thought were the right people in the right community, but it wasn't. They were so judgmental. Yeah. So it was just, I was so, yeah, but I didn't know that.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. I didn't want to film myself training because I was worried that someone was going to make fun of me.
It's fucked. Yeah.
So I had to work really fucking hard on that inner critic and really just throw it out the window, even though I still had tendencies of just speaking that level of truth. But speaking it so that everybody could hear, well, that was different. That was the next level.
And the cool thing is, you always still did it, and I honor you. And also, I'm even saying this about myself, because it's like, if I would ask you a question or if we would do something, you were very authentic and honest. You'd be like, no, I didn't do that. Like, you wouldn't say it for an audience. You would say it as in the truth. And that's what people are after. And that's hence why we're called raw babes, is because it's just raw, and we're real fucking women that are living a life, and we're trying to do the best that we can with what we have.
That's right.
And share that, and hope that it touches others and helps even a little piece of them. So good for you.
Yeah. And I think that it's just, there's not even a level of trying anymore. It's just, it comes so authentic. And I think that's probably the most attractive thing, because we're literally living and speaking in our, as much truth as we can.
Yeah.
And you guys are witnessing all the work that we've been doing for the last 2 and a bit years.
Mm-hmm. Of the real intense. It's even been, with Raw Babes, it's been 2 and a bit years. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like all the work before that to get to this point. So, okay. Who has made the most influence in your life?
I will say my Auntie Lee.
Okay.
She's passed now, but growing up, she was the beautician. But she was like, she was tall. She had black curly hair. She always curled it. Mm-hmm. She was always like put together, and she was the fucking party. She'd walk in, this like roaring laughter, which was so contagious. She always made everybody feel so special when she talked to them. She always, like, you know, if there was a crowd of people and someone was talking to her, she had them by the hand and looking them in the eye because nobody else mattered.
Yeah, that's similar to you, though, I must say.
And I got that from her.
Yeah.
Because I knew how that made me feel. And if someone, if people, you know, that have never had that, when they get that, it's like this emotional surge of like being loved and appreciated and supported.
Some people also can't handle it.
Some people can't handle it.
They feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Who is the one person that you admire the most, alive or dead?
Oh.
I know it's kind of a similar question, but that's influential as your aunt.
Yeah.
And they admire.
Well, I mean, I really admire you, Kristen. You are. Like, you're huge. I know. I don't cry. Stop it.
I'm like...
It's true. I mean, you're a fucking light, and I love how far you've come with everything. Like, I don't want to get too emotional about this, because you and I have cried recently about...
I just had that image.
Yeah. And, I think of you often when I'm like, okay, what would Kristen do? And I actually have another girlfriend that I think like that too. And I think that with Dave. It's like, when I'm in a situation, what would Tara do? What would Dave do? What would Kristen do?
That's beautiful.
But the cool part is that you've helped create that space where I don't have to ask anymore. I just go within now.
Yes, you do.
I just ask my higher self. Like, yes. I sometimes needed that guidance. Maybe I didn't really realize maybe that was me talking to your higher power or your subconscious. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Wow.
think of it like that.
Well, thank you.
Oh.
I feel honored that you didn't say that. Honest. I'm just like, I was not expecting that.
Aw.
It's like dead or alive. Am I still alive? I think so. Okay, and where? Sorry. No, I had it, and then my eyes just went.
They went.
No, not my eyes didn't do that. What books have changed your life the most?
Oh. Right when I thought I had read a book that changed my life, I read another one and I'm like, Jesus, Murphy.
Yes.
Right now what I'm reading is changing my whole like direction and practice.
Okay.
Just adding to my repertoire.
Okay.
It's about breath work.
Okay.
I can tell you exactly what it is.
We can add it into the notes.
Yeah, we'll add it into the notes. Just Breathe by Dan Brule, and it's forwarded by Tony Robbins.
Ooh, okay.
Mastering Breath Work for Success in Life, Love, Business, and Beyond. Really good. I've been really fascinated with the work that we've been doing.
Yes.
So I've been adding, and so meditation was one of them. And then I always kind of felt a little bit insecure creating my own meditations because I have a tendency to have these mental blocks. Mm-hmm. And then I'll start stuttering. I'm way better now, but fucking when we were first starting, it was just like, it was really hard for me. And like doing like Instagram lives, it just like, oof, so hard. But learning what I've learned between like the Silva method, the 6-step method to meditation, and then the breathing workshop and course that I'm taking right now, this is going to be a huge turning point in my career and my life.
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's just go quickly to bridge the gap. You're not with Beachbody anymore.
No.
That has ended.
Yeah.
Podcast has been super consistent.
Yeah.
Circles have been consistent. This community, your spirituality, your working out, super consistent.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? What are you doing right now at this time?
Okay. So,
what are you offering?
What am I not offering?
Exactly.
I still have a couple nail clients.
Interesting.
And I do it because I love the connection.
Yes.
I just love human connection. But I train one-on-one.
Okay.
I'm spread a little bit thin right now, so I'm not really taking
new clients.
Not at this moment, but in a few weeks I will be.
Okay.
I am teaching classes at Oxygen and Mission.
Okay.
I just have this calling of doing like classes, like larger groups.
Yes.
I've been saying this for a little while. I manifested that shit and boom, there it started happening.
Yeah.
So there, Hope has been so gracious and she's asked me to bring my practice into her studio. So we're doing functional training, mind-body connection, breathing, and stretching mobility.
Also, I just have to say, like, how old the woman's in her 50s that was
Yeah.
there. This woman was like, I seen the spark in her eye when she was in the class because she was literally like, finally, a fucking place for me to go that has what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because Tiffany is basically like personal training you. This woman knows what she's doing already, but she's adding in a difference. It's a different type of energy, a different type of class. We're doing it together. It's hands-on. It's like personal training.
Yeah.
It's heavier weights. You guys need to come and experience this. You know, even just with your client that you have with it, you're working with in the program, it's so much more because Tiffany is offering the spiritual aspect, the mind, body, soul, as well as the external shell with the nutrition. So it's a full package. It's like, you know, you can go and get your workout and then you can get healed with a meditation and sound and energy healing. It's
100%.
You can't even put a dollar on what you're offering to this world. I just have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I do offer, because I do have lots of things that I offer. Like, I'm a Reiki practitioner master. We got our circles. There's a lot there. And because there's so many modalities there, not everybody's makeup is the same. Like, everybody's little recipe book is a little bit different. So just pulling in what would resonate with my clients that's the direction I will go. It's not a one size fit all. It's not a cookie cutter program.
No.
I don't do cookie cutter programs whatsoever. No. It's a very individualized. I put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. And to be honest, I'm really just calling in clients that have a little bit of a foundation built already. Obviously I'll work with people that have never worked out before, but I would like that level of grit and commitment. I also love to work with children. Yeah. I love training children, because children, when they want to be in the gym, that's all they want to do is just be in the gym. They just want to learn.
That's right.
They'll fucking do anything.
Yeah.
So I love working with children, and I've always loved the idea with working with sports teams and athletes and stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool how you've really brought in the spiritual aspect into your practice.
Well, yeah, it's a mind body thing. There's such a, you can't deny it. There's a major connection there. I can't even say enough. I feel like it's such a broad conversation. It is kind of nice to kind of break it up and talk about it, and then using your own discernment, putting together what you think would go together, what you would resonate with. Yeah.
So cool. Okay, if you had the attention of the world for 5 minutes, what would you say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Daddy!
Big Daddy in the house.
You can take a minute to think about this one.
I think that we all have a specific practice to bring to the table. I think it's, if you can set aside all blockages, what would that be? I think it's really important to deal with the things that are holding you back and just bring a little bit of awareness with it. It doesn't have to be this fucking full dissection or anything, but just to bring awareness around it. Because it's just in us. We all have something to bring to the table. I see it as a village. Like, you got your cobbler, you got your fucking, your blanket maker, your fucking egg cracker.
Don't bring those guys. It's so funny that has to.
Oh, fuck.
It's good.
It is. And that's where I see the beauty of it. So I really like to use fitness as a really good foundation to kind of crack that egg, crack it open.
Don't eat it. Just step on it.
But just crack it open a little bit so you can have a little bit of sense of self-worth and what's possible. Maybe shed a little light, a little perspective, especially coming from, a coach like at the level that I work at and that you work at, bringing that perspective. We're listening to our intuition. I didn't listen to my intuition for so many years. Yeah. I actually rebelled against it because I'm like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you to tell me? So now it's like, no, let's weed the weeds, clear the weeds, and let's get more in touch and more of a better relationship with that intuition.
Beautiful. So thank you for answering my other question, because it was like, what's your favorite quote? Well, you already said it. And the next thing is, how can listeners support you in your work?
Thank you. Share that shit. Share the work. Fucking don't worry about what other people think. If you think it's working for you, it's going to work for someone else. Share our accounts. Go through our links in our bios. It shows exactly what we're all about. Our main accounts, I'm going to speak for you too, are on Instagram. I do have a website. It's just a little bit outdated. I haven't been keeping up with it because I just have zero patience for learning new technology unless someone just kind of literally walks me through it. But you can find me online, Instagram, Facebook. You can message me personally through there. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok.
You can't not find us. You can't not search Raw Babes 101 and find us. But even you personally, your
Yeah.
your Instagram, and also you can find Tiffany at Oxygen taking
Yeah.
see what she's all about at a couple of her classes. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, if you
Next
go to
level.
the link, Beacons link in my bio in Instagram, you'll see all the different things that I'm really offering. I only have it in 3 sections, but if you can just be a little bit open-minded on how broad that actually looks, because there is definitely, it's not everything is for everyone, but if you're looking for some physical healing, getting more in touch with your body and your physical and mental awareness, I'm definitely your girl for sure.
And last question. What can people expect from you next, Miss Tiffany?
Well, I'm taking courses right now. So the breathwork course is going to be a fucking game changer. I'm very fascinated with philosophy and how the brain works. So hypnotherapy is next on the list.
Yeah.
I did just read and learn about yawning
Oh,
and how good it is for us.
yes.
And how we have this like old way of believing that it's someone bored,
No, that's so
uninterested, or anything like that.
Yawning is moving energy.
Yeah, it is. It's really good for you. So, don't be ashamed.
No, I am not. I am fucking just proud to yawn, girl.
Yeah, so there's those courses that are coming into my teachings. That'll be very, very soon. You can probably expect to see me on Instagram live coming up teaching new breathing techniques. Just as I go along my course, I'm just going to share as I go along.
I love it.
And then I would love just to write a book. I would love to start writing again at that level. But I'm
Just gotta one day at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
Even one paragraph, even if it's just a couple of words.
I know, right?
Doesn't matter.
I guess, but I just, again, it's like the commitment and time. Like my kids are just at that verge of like kind of spreading their wings. We still got a couple of years left, but
Doesn't mean to stop it.
No,
You
you're
got
right,
this.
and I certainly will. And
I know
I'm
you will.
working into transitioning these new habits into my life because I'm kind of like go big or go home. I really am.
We're here for such a short blip, as Tiffany would say. So, what are we doing in every moment of our life? And each day is one step closer to our goals and what we truly like to do and our desires. So,
Exactly.
there's no limit. It's the
Stay
only
within
limit
it.
is the one we fucking put
Just
it. So let's pull a card. I'm gonna pull.
Kristen, I cannot believe how long this episode is.
believe
What
it.
the fuck?
It is so good.
It's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Girl, you're.
Jesus.
Come on, life is awesome. This is the beautiful thing is this is forever. It's never gonna go anywhere. And you know, like having this as a memoir, and it's like a book. It's just on video.
Yeah.
You know, it's dope. It's the coolest
pretty dope.
thing. So I'm actually going to pull one card for Tiffany from this beautiful deck that anything that her team would like to share with her at this time to please utilize this card deck and allow it to come through. What is Tiffany's message right now for Miss Tay Tay? I love that it's on air too. Oh, yeah.
You're so cute.
There
Boom.
she be. There's two
Daddies.
daddies. Okay. Oh, okay. We have Goddess of the Earth.
Ooh.
An idea connected to imagination, creativity, and nature is coming your way. Angel of Abundance. A steady flow of abundance is about to manifest.
Yeah, girl.
Obviously. Look at this badass angels, and we got the blue.
An idea connected to imagination, creativity, nature's. Oh.
So in the next coming weeks, could be days.
This is
or
interesting.
Weeks, it's coming in.
Dude, I already know what this is.
Okay. So let me just read it because anybody that's listening and stayed right to the end, there's a message within this for you as well. It's so beautiful. Goddess of Earth. 55. The energy of Gaia, the spiritual goddess of the earth, is strong within you at present. She reflects the fertile ground of your imagination and the infinite power of creativity that you possess. This is a good time to use your imagination and express yourself creatively. Keep an open heart and mind. You will receive an idea over the coming days or weeks that will lead you to an abundant and fulfilling way of life. This idea is somehow connected to imagination, creativity, and nature. Over the coming days, it would be beneficial to relax, spend some time in nature, and absorb her healing and fertile energies. Gaia will help to ground you and keep you balanced. In the near future, she will also inspire you to devise ingenious ways to market your idea. Damn! Angel of Abundance, love it. The Angel of Abundance has shown up in your reading today to bestow a special blessing upon you. Accept this blessing of light and allow it to flow within your heart and mind. Allow it to both illuminate you and inspire. A steady flow of abundance is about to manifest in your life because of your willingness in the recent months to give and receive in equal measure. True abundance manifests when we love and value ourselves as much as we love and value those that are dear to us. Keep an open heart and mind and continue to give and receive freely. Accept all the abundance the universe is offering you in the clear knowledge that you deserve.
Damn.
Wow, and what a beautiful message.
So when you asked me what's to come, and then you pull this fucking card, I didn't share one thing.
Well,
Hot.
if you want to share.
It's interesting. I'm putting it out in the ethers now because this has been something that's been on my mind for a while.
Okay.
So I have, like, where I live, I have, like, these trails, like forest trails, and I love to take my dogs, and I go quite often. And what I do is I just take my dogs off the leash, and because they're not really runners. I got my Great Dane. She's like over 10 years old.
Which is Jackie's.
Yeah,
Love that.
Jackie's dog. And then my Staffy, she is 6, but she's a Staffy. Like pit bull cross, terrier. They don't have, they can't run as fast as I can. So I just let them off leash, and I call it intuitive running.
Okay.
So what I was going to do, and tell me if you guys are interested, because I'm just putting this idea.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because I'm just having enough courage to fucking do it now, because it's just been on my mind for a while. And it's just a program called Run With Me.
Mm.
And it's a run that can last from like 20 minutes to an hour, just depending on like where we go. But it's running with the dogs. So the dogs run, and then they stop and they sniff, and that's a time to do lunges, stretching, and mobility.
Cool.
But you're running at such a pace. I just took my last client. I told him, I was like, okay, get ready. We're going to go run the dogs. He's like, oh, no, I can't run. I cannot run. My ankle, my knee,
wow.
all the things. And I'm like, no, it's not what you think. It's not
it.
actually a run. It's like a light jog. But what I would be doing is teaching you how to run. You just be following exercises as we go along.
That's so cool.
It's just a really good way to get out in nature and not spend so much time, doing an exercise and feeling like you have to do that. And then the option would be to go back to my gym and just do a workout.
I love that.
Yeah. Simple. It's a simple program. I haven't figured out what the cost is going to be, but it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not your typical drop-in gym membership. It's not like, $15 or $20. I was like, we're thinking like $5. Just something.
$5 or $10.
Yeah, just a good exchange.
But that's a lot.
You're learning a lot.
There's way more than just.
You're learning a lot.
Being in nature.
Yeah.
As well.
And it would be kind of it wouldn't be set days. So what I was going to do is just set up, like a membership group chat.
Cool.
And that's where you're going to learn when the runs are going to be and what to expect.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Dope. Nice job, TT.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
KK.
you for opening your heart and sharing
Thank you.
all of this.
For creating the space for me.
Wow.
Wow.
Such good shares.
I can't fucking believe this.
So good.
222! I just checked the time.
She just randomly.
2 hours, 22 minutes. Can't make that shit up.
Oh my God.
We all love the numbers, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you,
and
guys.
thank you, KK. And
we're done. We're going to go eat. I'm starving.
Bye.
Bye.